Now we are. I do a fully legit professional operation here. I'm live for real now, I promise. For realsies. It's the real deal. Alright. I'm gonna post up. I'm back to putting my posts up while I'm live. Which some people might consider that a backslide. And it is. But I promise to do better next week. I'm already starting a little bit late, so things are sideways as it is. And there's cat hair everywhere. You guys missed it. I didn't have the live thing yet. Petting a cat in my lap. You're real fussy today. Everywhere. It's in my mouth. Alright. I don't want it. I don't want it in my mouth. But it's fine. I'm getting over it. I'm getting around it. Everything's cool. So you might be asking yourself, Puck, we've already built so much world. What world are we going to build today? I could tell you. I could talk to you about it. And we're going to. Right after I post these social medias. Because I'm doing things. Promoting myself on the internet. It's hot out here for a world builder. All right. Now, next up, let's go ahead over here. Let's get my docks together. Because we've got our world built out. We've got deities, we've got ideas and concepts. Coat of arms are getting worked on. We worked out the worlds a little bit. There's 3 empires. Well, there's 4 empires. Should probably adjust that in the wording. There's 4 empires. It's expanse. We've got our military. We've got people built out. We've got different monsters. We've worked out allegiances. What do we need next? Probably need some histories. Maybe to think about some interactions and who these people are. How they exist in the world. Something I wanted to consider as well. Because you got to start thinking. Now I've actually got a group. And I'm running this thing as a campaign. Something to think about is magical items, artifacts, what kind of things are people coming across in this place. I know. Look, there's a lot of activity now. You be frustrated all you want. I know. Look, I understand you. Hey, Crad. How's it going? I've never seen you before. You look new. Welcome to the stream, Crad. Welcome to the Treasured Expanse. A world I'm working on for a campaign I'll be live streaming on the Mercs of Mischief in the fall. And I've been building it out on this stream, creating it piece by piece. It's a kind of exploration survival campaign in a harsh environment. You go to the land of the Treasured Expanse, a new continent, recently discovered within the last 15 years. However, it has its own mysteries, the largest mystery of all being that when winter comes, last light, as they call it, any living creature that resides north of flowing water disappears. They're not sure when or how it happens because the winters are so harsh. Oh, well, what am I explaining shit for? Well, now. Nice to see you, K-Rad. I'm glad you caught it live. Now I feel kind of silly. Anyways, I was thinking about magical items. So, expanse metal. Or expanse steel. So I was thinking maybe they keep finding in this place this kind of precious metal. I want to create a resource that is scarce and valuable in this place. I think I want to call it expanse metal or expanse steel, which isn't, super imaginative, but that's kind of where I'm leaning at this point. And I'm trying to decide what exactly that is, what properties it has. And then, of course, you can create stuff like you can expanse steel swords, expanse steel armor, expanse steel tools, all these different things because they have different qualities and capabilities entwined within them. That makes them things that are sought after. So what are the properties of expanse steel? And this is going to be a little bit tricky for me because I'm going to have to thread the needle here a little bit. Because there's some stuff I don't really want to reveal just yet about this world. And I wouldn't want the players to know about these things just yet either. Just because it's like, I want to reveal it. It was basically red gold. Yeah. Could be. I mean, look, there's always that place, like unobtainium or whatever, right? It's always like some rare element that you find in this place. But I don't imagine you find it like as ore. I think you would find it as scraps of metal. Like you find it as metal pieces that then people are smelting down and creating other items out of. And scrap P. Out the world. Eat. It's my Canadian coming through. It's found in metal pieces throughout the world. It has a shiny black, green, marbled look and a smooth texture. That's how I'm imagining it. It's kind of like a gradient, but kind of like marbled throughout. Like, how marble has kind of those wavy black lines through it. Like that, but in place of the white portions, you have kind of a deep emerald green. That's how I'm picturing the metal looking. So you only find it in scrap pieces. Maybe they're chunked or bent or different things, but they're sought after because when you smelt it, it does... It does what? What are some properties of this? Canadium? Rusty? No. I'm not going to call it Canadium. I'm not going to call it Canadium. That's too much. That's one step too far. Expanse steel. Canadium. I call it Canuckium. Now we're talking. Call it Canuckium, or I am Canuckium. Hi, Wild Wolf. Nice to see you. Good to see you here. Okay, so it's got kind of a marbled smooth texture. Properties. The metal. Oh, I don't know if I want to say this. You know I want... Look, it's too much. Light, durable. That's a very mithril kind of thing. Those are definitely things that would make it instantly valuable. I want to say they're magically conductive. I like the high melting point. I'm going to put these down as some bullet points while you guys are listing them out. No, just bullets. Here we go. Okay. Light. Durable. Magically conductive. I can't tell you guys. One, two of you people in here watching already playing in this. So no. You don't get to know. Three, or two, fuck. Is I can't reveal too much about this. It's going to take away from the fun of figuring this stuff out in the end. Expanserite, like meteorite. I'm going to add that to the list of possibilities. Right. Expanse scrap. Expanse shards. A lot of different options. Okay, but I want it to be magically conductive. Ooh, that's rough. That's rough. But I don't want this necessarily connected to the north of the flowing water. And this is what I said about threading the needle. There's so much specific about this. Because, like, when I say what this is, this rare metal that's only found in scraps in this world, I have a very clear picture in my head of what it is and where it comes from. But I can't convey that because I need to keep that as a secret. So it's a little bit of a game of telephone. Treasurite? Treasurite sounds pretty good too. I'm going to put that down as another one. Okay, I like that it's magically conductive, heat resistant. And when I say magically conductive, I mean can transmit magical power. Allows for the free flow of magical energy through solid material. So it conducts magical energy. It's the kind of structure that if you were to cast a spell into it, you could have the spell travel through it and come out the other side. Or use it as a conduit to transport magical energy from one place to another if you built a long enough string or wire of it. Yeah. Yeah. So heat resistant, light, durable. I think magically conductive is the big thing. Ooh. Corrosive. 2 spirits. So, when they discovered this magical metal, something that was learned by the Melangar Empire right away is that whatever this is, it's corrosive to spirits and ghosts. If they touch it, it causes them intense pain and damages their spiritual bodies. I wouldn't say it necessarily extends the range of a spell, but expansium. It could be like lithium. It wouldn't necessarily extend the range of the spell, but more would disperse the energy of a spell through it. So somebody shoots a firebolt at you. The energy of that firebolt, the magical energy of that firebolt would hit the metal and then be conducted evenly through it. It would be transmitted through the metal. And maybe people are experimenting with it as far as spell reflection, different constructions, different shapes, different types. Because I don't want all the mysteries of this figured out. I want it to be something that's still very much experimental in the world. Like, they're still trying things out with it to figure out how it works and how it operates. Kind of like a magical lightning rod. But I wouldn't say it necessarily draws it in, but it can travel through it. Like wiring. I ain't gonna answer that question just yet, Rusty. Flesh out in more detail. Okay. Alright, now we ain't gonna talk about that. We ain't gonna talk about that just yet. You just keep that under your hat. I like that idea. Smooth texture. Expanse scrap, expanse shard, treasurite. Expansium. Got a couple different names. We could try them all out. I think that's good. I think we're going to expand on this a little more. I think that's as far as I can go with this particular concept just yet. But we can also add that to weapons and armor still being experimented with. Very rare. It would be interesting stuff, but I want this to be very rare stuff. Like, I want people to be, if they find this, they're selling it for mass amounts of money, because it's like, oh, we found some expanse steel. What? Like, there's no deposits, there's no mines. It's just you find scraps of it in the world. All right, well, you take care, Wild Wolf. I'll have a good one. I had a special guest showing up at some point here. We'll see who it is. I don't know. Somebody. So, that's what I like for magical items. We'll take that down. What else do we want out here? Magical items. Resources, I guess. I think we'll talk about one that we already... ghost berries. Found in the northernmost regions of the treasured expanse. This sweet plump purplish red berry is widely sought after for both its flavor. No, the vaults are not made of this stuff. The vaults are generally constructed out of stone. Usually thick, heavy stone construction, sometimes very smooth stone. The quality of the vaults kind of vary. Sometimes they're kind of partially collapsed in. So it's kind of all over the place. Fermented into ghost wine. Very flavorful. Best served cold. There we go. Add the ghost berries. Northernmost regions. They're plump. They're kind of a purplish red berry. Very flavorful alcoholic beverage. Berries are sweet and tart. The Elamelon. The Elamelon is... I might do an Elamelon. Elamelon. What would I even call an Elamelon? There's a lot of things I could do with it. Best served cold. It has a sweet, slightly tart flavor. Ghost wine, flavorful alcoholic beverage, northernmost region, purplish red berry. Is usually found covered in frost and is widely sought after both for its flavor and its fermentation. Excellent. I think this is great. I'm going to put Elamelon on here as a possible thing for the future. Elamelon. I'll just sit silently for a couple moments while I think about something without saying a word. Sometimes I forget I'm streaming. So, I need to come up with some other cool resources. Cool items. And things. Let's look at our maps a little bit for some inspiration, shall we? There's 100% Ghostberry wine. Ghostberry wine. 17. How bad about Oh, don't you do a thing. Don't you do a thing, map. Undo whatever I did. Oh, no, I made the river smaller. Okay, so we got our woods, we got the forest, we got kind of a river terrain. Got these things. I wonder if I could make like a midnight trout or a midnight pike. Fort Settleguard, Ghostlands, polar creatures. Everice. Let's call it Everice. Thick. Some chunks of ice seem to grow as great spikes out of the earth in the northern regions. No matter how warm the temperature, they remain cold. Expeditions are frequently sent up north to acquire chunks of Everice for food storage. Huh? Huh? I think that's great. I think that's a good idea. Just call it Everice, which I'm positive is something somebody else has already made. But, yeah, I wonder if it's on D&D Beyond. Let's go ahead and check. Browse magical items. Everice in the Frostville. Oh. I should probably call it something else, because Everice is already like something in the Frostville. Infinice? Infinice? Here, there we go. That'll be a note for me for later. Thin ice. Just lasts forever. It's always there. Oh, my guest is here, which is good because I'm thinking hard about stuff here. I spend too much time silent. I'm coming up with minerals. All right. Boop. Hello? Oh, I didn't send the message first. I'm patching you in live. How's it going?
Thanks for the heads up.
No problem. I'm real cool that way. Hey, everybody. Special guest is here. Bees.
Hi.
How's it going, Bees?
Also known as Gothy for some people who could use the context, I suppose.
Yeah, some people might know you as Gothy, or as a comic creator and artist.
Oh yeah, forget about
From
that.
Devil's Fool.
Yeah, I forget I do that.
Oh yeah, I make stuff.
Huh.
Well, thanks for coming out.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
No problem. This is
How's
great.
my audio?
Oh, you sound great.
Good.
I think people can hear us.
Hopefully.
Yeah, should be all right. But here, I got some stuff to show you.
Okay.
So let me tell you what's going on. Do you have any context, or was this just like Felix is like, Sean's doing a stream, you want to come join him?
Felix is like, I'm too busy. Here. No. I know that you are doing world building, and you are having people come in to help you do world building. I think because you're planning a new campaign.
Yes.
Sure? Okay.
Yes. So the campaign that we've been doing on the show since 2018 is ending this summer. We've taken this dog as far as we can take it. So I'm building a new one, and I'm attempting to homebrew an entire world and campaign from scratch, because my previous campaign was kind of couched in the Forgotten Realms. It was, a part of it. Additionally, Crad says, "Hey, Gothy."
Hey.
So I've been building it, and I've been asking other D&D friends to come in, take a look at what I've created, and offer their input.
Okay, cool. I'm just trying to find a way to get to your stream so I can see if there's things on them.
Oh, you want me to send you a link? Send you a link.
Yeah, that'd be better.
Sure.
I think that's quicker than me searching through my Twitter and trying to find you.
There you go.
Thank you.
So, I'm doing this one pretty casually. It's just me on my personal channel, so it's like, whatever.
Okay.
But I'll share it to you and show you what I come up with so far. So I'm going to introduce you to my world. And tell me what you think.
Sure.
And offer me any input that you might have. All right. And there. I'm screen sharing to you now. Oh. Oh, sorry. It made a sound, and I was like, did something happen? Oh, this is great. All right, and this is good. We never had a chance to, hang out and stuff. We did a little bit of Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
It was fun. I caught fire a lot.
A lot.
A lot. It was an ongoing
got hit by
problem.
lightning a lot.
I mean, look. It's my magnetic personality.
Uh-huh.
And the fact that
either that or God was like, this guy.
I mean, that's happened before too. But
hate him.
Out to get me again, always. But I mean, it happens. It was a lot of fun, and I appreciate this time to hang out with you. So,
yeah.
Let's talk about D&D a little bit.
Sure.
So, I think you're one of the only guests I've brought on with whom I have never DM'd for and never DM'd with.
Oh yeah, we've never actually played together.
Yeah, we've never actually played together. First of all, we need to fix that at some point.
Eventually,
Second
yeah,
of all,
totally.
do you want to talk about your experiences? What you've been through? D&D
Sure.
wise?
My origin story.
Yeah. I was born at the age of 25. I learned to fight when I was
Born with glass bones and paper skin. Okay, so I guess the first time I ever played D&D was again with Felix Dingo, person who played Arena, and the two other players who played Gorthan and Julian, and we played like just kind of like a very goofy campaign that didn't last very long because we had a TPK, and that was the first time I ever played D&D, and the first time I ever had like a character, and my character was fairly just like, you know, baby's first character. He was a rogue, of course. And then after that, we went and played Fool's Gold, which was, I think, as you were familiar with, was an absolute. Can I swear? Can I swear on the stream?
No, absolutely. Go nuts.
Okay. It's an absolute shit show.
Absolutely.
In the best way. And then, you know, we all know Fool's Gold. And then while we were playing Fool's Gold, I think I was like, I want a DM. I'm going to try this out. It seems fun. So then I DM'd a campaign and it lasted about a year, and it was like entirely homebrew. Like I do not own any D&D books, and I do not have the attention span to actually read through them at all.
I feel that.
So then that campaign wrapped, and then I started my second campaign, again, totally homebrewed, and that one is currently running right now. And they're all like, they're just like between us, like they aren't really on public space at all, aside from like doodles I will make and then throw out there because I think they're funny.
Okay.
But yeah, so I guess that's my D&D credentials, is like world building has never actually looked at a rule book or pre-made campaign before in her life.
Just 100%. Okay.
100% purebred homebrew.
That's awesome. And like, I meet a lot of DMs that are like that. Particularly in the creative space, and I think it's because we just have like these stories to tell, right? And we're just
or we're just pompous, and we're just like, I can do it all myself.
I've got a way better professional authors. I've watched a lot of movies and anime. I think I know what I'm doing. I'm
smart. I'm Shakespeare.
Absolutely. Look, I mean, I'm Shakespeare adjacent. That's why I go by Puck. Anyways, so that's awesome. Is this the campaign that I keep seeing Dingo put like Instagram pictures about?
Yeah, if you've seen a really buff lady with wings or a skeleton dragonborn, yes, that's the campaign that I run.
I keep getting super interested in this, like in the like story about the kid and the family. I gotta go back and look at it, but for a while I was just seeing these pictures on Instagram, and I'm like, I know nothing about this, but I'm invested through these images.
They're a very, very darling group.
Oh, it looked adorable. Well, that's awesome. Now, I'm excited to hear what you think about what I've created here, since you're in the midst of your own. Are you still running that right now, or are you?
Yep. Oh, yeah, still running it.
Excellent. Can you tell me anything about it before I get into mine?
I mean, well, it's a dangerous question to ask anybody, any DM. Can you talk to me? Tell me about your campaign. Like, how many days do you have?
I'm about to talk for like an hour and a half. So like.
Oh, okay. All right. This is my only shot. Got it. So, my campaign is set in a world that the world separated into several different floating continents that are kind of like floating in this large vapid space, because the world got semi-destroyed, and then the destruction of the entire world got stopped halfway, so it's kind of in this limbo where everything is generally in a bad state because magic itself is fading away, and that's kind of the larger scale of the campaign.
I'm all about it. That sounds awesome. Please continue.
Thank you. The micro scale of the campaign is like brie and crackers, which is, their names are cheese and crackers. They are they have been slowly exploring this world because Crackers wanted to figure out why he was a skeleton, why he was a living, breathing skeleton, and Bree wanted to find her estranged son who ran away from their very, very isolated own floating island. And they met with a band of vagabonds who kind of just like were isolated because they knew things about the world that the government didn't want them to know. And then they became very like a very found family trope. They adopted several kids, that sort of thing.
Awesome.
And then they kind of like ended up back on the doorstep of the thing that caused the entire world to separate, and now are trying to kind of like heal the world and bring it back from the brink of chaos rather than letting it tip over into its last days before everything kind of nukes. And this involves them essentially scoring up against a god of chaos who just like likes to fuck shit up because he thinks it's funny. And yeah, it's a lot of when you and I talk about world building and stuff like that, you'll find out that I'm very a person who world builds through my NPCs. So a lot of stuff is just like you experience everything on the micro, and you experience everything through talking to a character, and then it balloons out into the other world, into the rest of the world past that. So a lot of my larger story and a lot of the world building is like extremely tied into Dingo and Felix's characters personally, and then all of the NPCs they know. You know, it's just like everybody's a puzzle piece.
So you take it very much from like what is going on in the purview of this character, and then expand it out from there.
Yeah, I tend to think about everything from like a street, like you call from like a worm's eye view or a street eye view to my world building. Because like from my point of view, the only way you're gonna know about something in the world is if your character can physically see it, or if an NPC is gonna tell you about it.
Right. I like that.
At least that's my kind of forte into world building.
That's a good philosophy, and that's actually what I've been thinking about with this. Because while I've been building this, I've been thinking of it in terms of it started with an idea for the adventure, what I wanted the place to be, and I wanted it to be a place that's harsh, difficult to survive in, and full of mysteries.
That was a great foundation.
Absolutely. Delightful place. And I wanted to do kind of a wintry theme because #Canadian. So I came up with this thing that's loosely actually kind of based on some Canadian history, and we'll see if you can pick it up.
Okay. I won't.
Fair enough. But
I emptied all that stuff out of my brain after I graduated from high school.
I mean, that's a lot. Yeah. I mean, that's... I was close to somebody who had to take a citizenship test in the last few years, so it all came back for me. But...
Actually, me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, yeah. Yeah, like, well, Felix is, like,
Yeah.
born and raised Germany and is trying to get his dual citizenship.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, kind of stuff. And also just, like, having a friend who is quote-unquote foreign.
Oh, for sure.
It's very interesting to just be like, no, this is how it is in Canada. Even like when you start to like talk to people in America, and and you're just like, wow, you know nothing about who it is. I was talking to some friends over a Discord call, and I lied to them that all Canadian TV has French subtitles at the bottom.
Look, I'm constantly finding out weird Canadian isms with my cast because it's like 90% Americans, right? Like the crew is not. I'm basically the only Canadian except for Saber, who is another Canadian on the team right now, and it's constantly like it's just weird stuff that I discovered. Like, did you know that Arby's in America doesn't have baked potatoes?
What?
Yeah. There's no baked potatoes at Arby's in America. They don't have them. But, like, that's the thing that you get at Arby's. Like,
yeah.
That's the...
That's so weird. I found out through watching, like, some YouTube videos that they apparently don't use the term fuck off there. Like, that's not like a... Huh?
Right? Apparently that's rude.
No, I mean like they don't even have that. Like
Yeah.
if you say that to somebody in America, they're like, "What does that even mean?" It's like,
Right.
"What do you mean? What does it mean?"
Yeah. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Or it was like, I don't know, it was something like that. Maybe
Yeah.
it wasn't even that, because now that I think about it, it's like
Okay.
that seems so universal of a term. How could
Right?
you not know what
That seems
means?
pretty straightforward. I don't know. There's a
was
lot of
something
weird
like
stuff
that.
like that. There's stuff I'll come up with and I'll just start talking about things with the crew. And they'll be like, Sean, is this a weird Canadian thing? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it?
Have you ever tried to explain what a moose is to somebody who has absolutely no concept of what a moose is?
They're way bigger than anybody expects.
And they're just like, it's like, no, it's like a deer with kind of like a donkey face, and they're huge.
It is an
and
apex herbivore that will mess you up.
it's legit. I think it's actually legitimately a megafauna.
Yes.
Like from back in the, like one of the last remaining megafaunas.
Oh, yeah. It's
in
huge.
the world.
It's ridiculous. It has natural predators. Orcas, killer whales.
Yeah, which is the most Canadian thing I think in the world.
Right.
Like that's the most Canadian thing in Canada.
Yeah, a moose, an orca eating a moose.
Yeah, this obtuse Canadian animal is only preyed upon by this other obtuse Canadian animal.
It's delightful. I love every part of it. What's false, Rusty? What are you calling me out on? Is it the baked potato? Okay, maybe they have them now. They didn't have them when I was there. I ordered a baked potato. They looked at me like I had two heads. They didn't know what the hell I was talking about. This was in Minnesota in 2009? Would have been 2009. They looked at me like I had no heads. And I went, and after that experience, I went to an A&W in America. And I tried to get a teen burger or a grandpa burger at A&W in America. Again, they looked at me like I had two heads. They didn't know what the hell I was talking about. They had no burgers. They had hot dogs, chicken, and chili fries. And I'm like, it's the burger family. That's the A&W thing. And they don't have the A&W bear. They never had the A&W bear. I learned that recently. I know, right? I still remember that song. It's like I had the little Christmas ornaments. Okay, well, I'm old. But
yeah, careful, Puck, showing your age there.
Yeah, I mean, it happens from time to time. Anyways, we went down a rabbit hole a little bit there. Mm-hmm. That's what happens. This is the kind of show I do when I'm on my own.
This is going to be the rest of the night.
Yeah, this is going to be it. This is going to be the whole thing. So, this world I created. Mm-hmm. New world exploration. There's 4 empires. A new continent has been discovered. Mm-hmm. And there's kind of a mad dash to settle this place and take advantage of what it has. So, I've created 4 empires. Created the Caligarn Empire, which is very much like a kind of Ayn Rand capitalistic society, very much based on business and corporations. It doesn't have a formal government, more it has a collection of corporations that act as a ruling council, and the seats are kind of rotating depending on who is the top corporation in the empire. Very, very tough place to live if you're a worker. Great place to live if you're a mad scientist or a corrupt businessman. That's the kind of place they are.
Is that how they advertise their real estate?
I mean, probably. Real estate probably very, very shady business. The whole place is very, very economic and business-centric society. And that's their whole deal. Their military is actually like a collection of military contractors that have kind of a symbiotic relationship with the Empire, because this is kind of the only place they can exist, so they have to keep the Empire protected and going. Mm-hmm. And then we have their primary rivals are the Saskatoon Empire, the second largest empire. You see, the Saskatoon Empire is kind of a British Empire surrogate. Their problem is, at some point in their history, they've been at war with every other empire in the world. Too much and too frequently, to the point
They've
that
just
it's...
pissed
Oh yeah,
everyone off.
they pissed everybody off, and they went broke fighting everybody. So their coffers are darn near emptied out. It's a very duty, honor, dignity kind of society. Very, very royal, very pompous, and very proud. Their emperor had to step down. He was kind of forced out amidst the people kind of being tired of going broke and fighting everybody all the time. And instead, he was supposed to be replaced by an eldest son, but instead the people said, we need your daughter to take over, Empress Hisui. They chose... I can see I'm with a fan.
You got me.
I did.
You flushed me out of the woods. Like, oh, founder Pokemon. Thank you.
And
falling into my nerd trap.
We talked about Pokemon a little bit while you guys were playing Arceus.
That's true. We did.
Yeah, I've got issues when it comes to Pokemon.
Me too.
I've got attachment issues, deep attachment issues.
I definitely have. Like, I've become one of those people who's just like I don't know, generally frustrated, but that's not why we're here. That's an entirely different stream that we could be having.
We can get deep into Pokemon stuff. Look, tangents, that's just still part of it. But anyway, Saskatoon. Hisui is the Empress now. The people love her. She's very much the people's Empress. She's fought on the front lines in the wars. She helps out the people. She's sympathetic to their plights. And she kind of rocketed to power on this kind of populist ideals, and the fact that she said she was going to make peace with the other empires and bring Saskatoon back to financial solvency. So she has kind of been maintaining peace between the empires. I have her as a Leonine kind of lioness woman. It's kind of
cool.
Beautiful lioness empress. I believe I did talk to you a little bit about this because we were talking about art a little while back.
Yes, you did. Yeah, and it's coming back to me now.
Aha. So those are the two big empires. Caligar and Saskatoon kind of run the show in the Treasured Expanse. They have a peace treaty between them that says they can settle this continent jointly. And so they're trying very desperately not to start a huge war with each other, but still get as much for themselves as they can.
Of course. They're just sort of like, yeah, we're totally gonna hang out. We're totally gonna like trade stuff, make sure we each get like an equal cut of the pie, and meanwhile they're both got their fingers crossed behind their backs.
Yeah, they're just trying to supersede each other any way they can without going into full-on conflict until one sees a clear advantage. Kind of thing. And of course Hisui is just trying her best to maintain peace right now in a desperate situation.
Right.
The Remvali Empire I had as a place where legend has it a group of tieflings defeated their archdevil overlord, came to the prime material plane, and settled the Remvali Empire. Their emperor is said to be the descendant of these great warriors that liberated them. But it's more of an honorary role. The entire society is built around the idea of cooperation and helping each other out. Very much into the, we're not into rulers, we're not into gods, we're not into anybody lording anything over us, we want to do it ourselves kind of thing. And so if you say move to a community in the Remvali Empire, it's not uncommon for a community leader to come to you and say, what do you bring to this community? What services, what skills, what abilities do you add to us that we should let you come into this community?
Right. You gotta earn your place. You have to contribute something to the greater good, because nothing's going to be given to you for free, I guess.
Yeah, and it's very much like working together, but they're also very proactive about it. Like if you don't have a skill, they'll be like, okay, are you willing to learn this? Can we train you in something? Can we they're all about building things up and working together. if a person from the Ramvali Empire saw people fighting each other over resources, they wouldn't understand it. They're like, what are you doing? We need to work together. That's the only way to do things.
Okay.
So they're very much into cooperation. Now, the Melangar Empire, this is the favorite of everybody I've shown it to. Melangar,
Right.
Everybody loves the Melangar Empire. The Melangar Empire venerates ancestors. So much so to the point that when an elderly person dies in the family, or when the eldest person dies in a family, they are kept alive or resurrected as a spirit, as a dead spirit or ghost.
Okay.
So households in the Melangar Empire will have family members who are just ghosts who hang out there and give their wisdom and information through the years. These are maintained by a group of people known as nurse mediums. Nurse mediums are kind of combinations, counselors, necromancers, exorcists, whatever they need to be, but they're responsible for the conjuring and care of family spirits. I always imagined them as kind of like midwives. Like every village has one. If you're really wealthy, maybe you have a personal one. And it's an apprenticeship kind of thing. Like a high nurse medium or an elder nurse medium needs to train new nurse mediums in the ability. And the reason that they're required is that if you have one of these elder spirits in your home and they are, for example, not treated well or they're forgotten about, there's a chance that they can become malevolent spirits and turn into things like specters and wraiths, and at which point they need to be exorcised. And that's a rather solemn duty for nurse mediums. They don't like having to do it, but at that point there's no way to bring them back. So it's kind of just like, okay, well, now we have to do it. This is sad.
That's very cool.
This is unfortunate.
I mean, like, yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but yeah.
The premise is very cool.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I'm glad you like it.
So I can see why everyone likes that one.
Yeah.
It certainly is up my alley and one of my favorites.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed this one. This one we have is ruled by an empress, a young dwarf, Maria Cortesia. She took over for her father, who perished in war with Saskatan, and is still advising her as a ghost. But she's very young, and she's having trouble in her new role, even with her father's advice. And a lot of the public have turned their eyes to a fiery new prime minister, because it's a constitutional monarchy. A new prime minister named Gabriel Larange, who's a halfling. Excellent public speaker, kind of a big speaker, very charismatic person. Thinks that Melangar needs a bigger place on the world stage. I think it's time for Melangar's coming out party. And he's a bit of an oddity in the society because he has no spirit advisor.
That is odd and suspicious.
And whenever he is asked about it, he simply chuckles and says, "I am always looking towards the future."
Okay. Suspicious.
Super suspicious. So those are my empires, and I just kind of created those to kind of fill out my world because I wanted people from all of these places to be encountered in the world. So I kind of needed enough of their stories and the places that they live fleshed out for that to make sense. And then we get to the Treasured Expanse. So, Treasured Expanse, they settled it about 15 years ago. In the first few years, they learned some very hard lessons about this place. The winters here are incredibly harsh. Very difficult. You basically need supplies and you need to hunker down to be able to survive through the winter. The next thing they learned... Oh, also the winters come with like these blowing sheets of snow, almost like a curtain. It's difficult to see, and also the sunlight is reduced. They call the first day of winter in the Treasured Expanse Last Light. They also found out in the spring of the first few winters that any living person that was north of flowing water when winter came was gone when spring came. They were all just gone. Entire settlements, farms, houses, completely empty. Devoid of life. Then nobody knows where those people go or what happens to them. But every winter after Last Light, if you are north of flowing water, you don't come back. What was that?
I said, wow. So I mean, Ghostlands there seems like a pretty apt name for that entire area.
Yeah, so like in the first years when they learned those lessons, so the Ghostlands is just full of these like ghost settlements and farms that just don't have anybody in them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, they moved in, they started some stuff, and then winter came, and it was like, oh, well, I guess we just can't live there anymore. A lot of settlers were lost in those first few winters as they figured things out.
Right.
So that's kind of the main...
That's just how it goes with pilgrimages.
Absolutely. It happens all the time.
People die, and you're like, well, won't do that again.
Yeah, can't do that. Can't live there like that. So that's kind of the main conceit of the place. You have the two empires, and of course the other empires are trying to establish some kind of foothold, trying to do something with it, although they don't have the main settlements like Caligar and Saskatoon do. And then the other thing is they haven't found any civilization on this new continent. They found no like camps, no goblin raiders, no orcs, no other civilizations, nothing.
No traces of them ever being there, and no generally intelligent races at all.
Nothing.
That's odd.
They found none. Occasionally, during building or during exploration, somebody will find a vault full of treasure and magical items. The vaults have been in various states of decay and ruin, but they're always got caches of valuable things in them. Nobody knows where they come from, and they're the only trace of civilization that has been found in the Treasured Expanse since it was settled 15 years ago. So there's a kind of gold rush to track these down. But that's the other kind of big mystery that this place has. Now, when you arrive... Let me go back to my view. Overview. This one. Okay. So when you arrive from either empire, you're likely going to show up in Promethean Point or Pride's Reach. Promethean Point is the Caligarn Empire established city in the Treasured Expanse, and Pride's Reach is the Saskatoon Empire. Promethean Point is run by a Triton who used it as a place to establish a shipping company. So he's the CEO of the shipping company that he operates out of Promethean Point. And by extension, and the way Caligarn society is structured, that makes him the mayor and the governor. Because he's got the most profitable key corporation in the place.
Yeah, biggest slice of the pie.
Absolutely. So that's his whole deal in that place. The whole place feels very much like a port town. That's the main port of call for many from Caligar. Pride's Reach has been built up to look like the biggest, most opulent, beautiful city, so that when settlers come from Saskatoon, they feel at home. It's meant to be a kind of facade to make people feel secure and happy when they arrive. and don't immediately panic and return home because they need people to settle here. It's the only way they're going to get to control land is they have more people here. Pride's Reach is operated by Princess Hisui's cousin, who is a outdoors loving lioness who just wants to explore the woods, be in the wilderness, doesn't like doing the Duchess things where she has to run the city and go to like balls and talk to diplomats and stuff. She's not into it. She wants to go out in the woods and hunt wild game and camp in the forest and look for hot springs. That's her whole deal. Her name is Akala. And Akala Hisrali is what I called her. And the other person she's kind of contending with there is Jace Walpole, who is the CEO of the Royal Saskatoon Trading Company, who also operates in this place. He operates the trading operations for the Saskatoon, Royal Saskatoon Trading Company, which is the large kind of crown corporation that operates throughout the Treasured Expanse on behalf of the Saskatoon government. And so those are the people that set up there. This is kind of the basic place. The Barrier Mountains kind of serve as a blockade. For some reason, the winds of Last Light don't come through the Barrier Mountains. And with that, the rule of being north of flowing water seems to not apply if you're on the other side of the Barrier Mountains. So, lucky for them, that worked out.
Yeah, thankfully.
And, I mean, that's pretty it. That's the broad strokes of it. What do you think?
I think that's definitely really cool. I mean, you certainly set up a whole lot of mystery and intrigue into your unknown land right away. And I mean, you've also certainly given yourself your players some good like meat and potatoes to start out with each of the different nations. Definitely feeling like they have a little bit of a special flavor to each of them. You know.
Like if you're from any of the places, you might have like a different set of ideals or a different cultural understanding.
Or even just like a different reason to want to go to the lands. Like, are you there for glory? Are you there for wealth? Are you there because of, I don't know, maybe, you know, if you're from the nation with the ghosts, did one of your family members fall dead in the other lands, and you want to go there to retrieve their spirit somehow and bring them back to the rest of the family? Like, there's certainly a lot of potential.
Yeah, or maybe you're just looking for a new life.
Yeah, or you just want to go live somewhere where sleeping north of water will get you kidnapped, apparently. That sounds fun.
Nobody knows what happens to them. It's so strange.
I can imagine people, like, testing it out. Like, if they put, like, a bucket of water south from the guy sleeping, is he going to be around the next day? Like, what is it, a bathtub? Like, does it have to be flowing water? What does it got to be?
It's specific. Sort of it seems to be the natural waterways of the place.
Ah, okay.
Is the rivers that moves through it. That's what they've found about it so far. So the first area that everybody sailed in, I called it New Haven Plains. And the town of Mortars Creek is actually settled and named after, because after the first spring hit, it was the place where many families and relatives and friends kind of watched out over the river to see that, you know, other people that they knew and that had settled here with them were gone. And kind of watched hopefully. So it's also the place where a lot of friends and family members post jobs for adventurers to go into the Ghostlands and retrieve precious items or perhaps heirlooms or things that are of emotional importance that were left behind in these settlements.
Question to you and your map. Those round dots, are those lakes or are they something else?
So they're lakes and ponds, and they kind of show up all over the place. And they always have very high edges to them. And they're freshwater ponds that are all over the place in this land. And nobody's quite sure why they're there.
So are they like craters? Maybe. I guess.
I'll never tell.
All right. Oh, yeah. All right. This is a good time to ask you because I'm here, like, talking about your world building.
Mm-hmm.
I guess is there stuff that you are seems like there's stuff you're purposely keeping under the table from me, like that you're not telling me because maybe you're worried your players might see.
Well, there's a couple things that I'm keeping secret about this place. There's a couple things that I won't say on a stream. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I would love it if I got you to play in this world at some point. So I'm not gonna.
Oh, I see. Is this your secret plan? Just get me here, and then I'm all like, "Ooh, I like the ghost town."
All hooked on it. You're all hooked on the world now, and now you gotta come play in it. No, I'd love to have you in. I mean, really, it is. But I bring people in, and there's a couple things. Like some people might see it. Some of the people in the chat are playing in like the test version of this that I'm running as a paid game, and I want to keep some of the secrets for the reveal on stream because I am going to be streaming this world in the fall.
Oh man, you must really be kicking yourself that I'm here, not Felix. This was like totally your plan to get him to join, and now you got.
Look, I'm glad.
Now you got me.
I'm glad whoever is here, whoever wants to come in and give me feedback about it, I'm down for it. I didn't even know you were DMing other games, or I would have asked you. I'm asking all the DMs I know.
I guess
everybody that runs games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I guess like then it's worth me asking, like, what is it that you want help with? Because if you have things that you definitely want to keep, things you have like stuff that you've designated, you're like, this is the stuff that I'm just gonna figure out for myself, all by myself. Mm-hmm. But then you're bringing in other players and other DMs. It's like, what do you want us to help with?
Well, I mean, any thoughts, feedback, discussion. I mean, I've employed a lot of people's ideas. I was with Kelsey from Kelsey B. Uzu on YouTube. Kelsey was helping me out with some gods. I had Dead Aussie Gamer on. He helped me out with, he had some ideas about history and some specific like interactions between some NPCs and some of the rulers of the world and what their personalities would be like and what their challenges might be like. I had Kai on, who is going to be doing, who's going to be DMing another show with us in the fall, we talked about how the wars might have ended and how the history might go. Uh-huh. So yeah, just bring you in, talk about the world, and if you got feedback, ideas, or suggestions, I'm down about it.
Well, let me just think, because I think, like, from my vantage point, I'd be like, okay, if this was a campaign I was gonna run, and this was the building blocks I got, how would I go and then take it and then be like, how would I spin it, you know?
Okay.
So like I said, definitely, it's all NPCs for me. That's how I build my bedrock of my campaigns, because NPCs are just like, they're how I get players to interact and care about the world and their personal experiences. So,
well,
having NPCs. Sorry.
Well. I'll let you finish your thought, but that gave me an idea. Please continue.
So like having NPCs that can give their personal experience in this world, being like, you know, somebody who joins you on their party who has had a family member lost to that weird winter event, definitely would be something that I would have like right off the gate, because that's a great way of making you care about this on a personal level, especially if you go in and make the lost person like a kid, or the person looking to go and retrieve their family member is a kid, and they're trying to go find like their mom or their dad, and the kid is way out of their depth. So you're just like, well, I gotta help them. They're just gonna die out there. That would be like what I would do, because it would just get everybody really emotionally invested really quickly in seeing this through, regardless of if they had long-term goals in this place, no matter what. You know, like, no, it's a cute kid. You gotta help them.
Absolutely. Like that.
Huh?
I like that.
Yeah. I always use cute kids in order to get, like, my very, very first session, I ever ran for Dingo and Felix was the premise was you have some bandits who are raiding this town, and the mayor of this town is hiring you as mercenaries to escort his daughter to a safe haven, like because he knows that the town is going to get attacked and raided, and he just wants to make sure his daughter is safe.
Nice.
That was the kickoff point of the entire session, which then turned into an entire campaign because Felix Felix went and did a little bit of a what would you call a switcheroo on me. Took one of my plot elements and turned it around and used it on me, the DM, and I was like, can't do that. So then I had to make an entire campaign explaining why he shouldn't have done that.
He pulled that Uno reversal on you.
And I was like, this isn't gonna fly.
Oh, that's delightful.
Get ready. This is going to be an entire year of me telling you why this was a bad idea.
Oh, I'm all about it. That's awesome.
Although funny enough, compared to Felix, who is like king of consequence DMing, I'm just like, here's a cookie and a blanket. Enjoy your time in my world.
Have some fun.
I'll show up once in a while to kick your ass with a bat, but generally you're gonna have a nice time.
I spoil my players so much. Like they are so privileged. They don't even know.
Snowflakes.
I've given them all this cool stuff. Mm-hmm. And like when I'm not spoiling them, the audience is giving them re-rolls and ultimate abilities and stuff. Look, I've earned my title as a benevolent dungeon master. 100% cookie and blanket time.
Yeah, that's nice.
I occasionally needle them with some emotional trauma, but that's like what do we do on Sunday? So our warlock Penn carries this tome with him that represents his patron. And his patron has asked that he gather knowledge and place it in the tome. And one of the ways he can do that is basically the tome sends out spectral chains, grabs something, and pulls it into the book.
Oh, yeah.
He was captured, and his solution was to use his ultimate ability to pull himself into the book.
Oh, boy.
And he found that there was a bunch of things that were trapped in the book as this kind of bizarre, macabre living museum. Ooh. That previous keepers of the tome had put in there as well. And like he was having to question his relationship with his patron and what he feels and what's important to him. Have a mild existential crisis. That's how I mess with my players.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Well, I definitely, of course, being a NPC DM, I'm just like, you love this character? How much do you love this character? A whole lot? Oh, here they go, dangling over a lava pit. Better make sure you save them.
I love that. That's beautiful.
That's definitely how I get to them.
That's great stuff. Okay. So since you have this incredible pedigree of creating these beautiful NPCs in this world and stuff, do you know what you could probably help me with?
Sure.
Besides the idea that I just put in my notes for the lost child and escort through the coastlines, which like there's a number of escorts I could do because this place is like full of like governors and like corporate CEOs that are looking to get a foothold in this place that got dumb kids that are going places. So
here's a question for you.
Sure.
Just while because I've never played D&D with you, so I don't know what your kind of style is. I would describe my DMing style as very, very much like episodes. Like there's kind of like a little bit of some pre-planned plot, and I generally kind of we've already established where you want to go, and then I kind of like build everything. I build the railroad as you're riding down the tracks. But generally it's a single course that you're going to go down.
Right.
Not to say it's railroading. It's just like, I would say that like some DMs really play their D&D sessions like they have a giant message board full of like 100 different quests, so they can pick whatever one they want off of the top of the list and go for it. And that's not really how I do it. I usually say that I DM. Like, we usually see that I have, like, neon signs and cookie crumbs.
Right.
And that's how I DM is I'm just like, ooh, look at this over here. This definitely looks like something your character would find interesting. Maybe go check that out. And So do you find that you're kind of like a big quest board type DM, or are you kind of like a cookie crumb trail kind of DM?
It depends on the day.
Mm.
So like I start with a destination in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
and everything that happens in between kind of depends on the players and the day to day. And I'll cookie crumb them to point them in the right direction, and I'll quest board them when they have time to mess around.
Right, of course. Yeah,
And,
that's generally how you want to do it.
and like I'll sometimes I'll try to cookie crumb them to like with a quest board. So I'll put a bunch of options up, but I'll put one up that's like there that to entice them
Of
specifically.
course. Here's the real one I want you to go
Yeah,
for.
this
It's
is the
got
one
a
I
giant
want.
red flag on it and neon and blinking red lights.
Yeah, like I've been playing with these guys for so many years.
Oh, of
I know
course.
how to hook them. Like,
Oh yeah, of course.
you play with the same people long enough. I'm sure you know playing with Dingo and
Oh yeah.
Felix as
Oh
long as you
definitely.
guys
I
have.
practically have a psychic link with Dingo at this point.
Oh yeah, you know exactly how to get her, right? So it's
One of when
what?
we have a brief moment, I'll tell you about this one time. It's like one of my like my DM little badge of honor because I absolutely put in a like a plant.
Yeah.
Like this was absolutely planned from the beginning, but they did not know it, and I was just like, yes,
Oh,
got them, yes.
tell me, let's do it. I want to hear it.
Okay. So
Look, this show is as much about telling D&D stories as it is about world building.
okay. All right, so to set the scene, this is Bree and Crackers, the skeleton dragonborn, and Bree, and Felix and I were kind of like talking a little bit out of session about how we think it would be kind of cute if Crackers was a little bit of a little bit of a romantic. Like he kind of has a little bit of a low self-esteem because he thinks he's kind of monstrous in his own way. So he's very much loves that Beauty and the Beast narrative of somebody falling in love with him and then finding, not seeing his own flaws. And that discussion would have been maybe a couple weeks away, but it laid the bedrock for the session that night, which was they had to attend a formal party in order to flirt with like the Duke of an entire area because they wanted to like they wanted to distract him long enough for the NPCs to get into a backfold. So that's fun because we have to have them dress up in like formal garbs and get Bree, the big Amazonian warrior, to also pretend to be like it was basically a debutante ball. Everyone was there to flirt with somebody else.
Oh, for sure.
Actually, all the ladies were there to flirt with the Duke. That was it. They all wanted to get his hand in marriage. So we had to get Bree, who is like Viking lady, to also try to flirt with the pompous jerkass, who's also like totally a villain.
Yeah.
We've established he's horrible in the campaign. So I've set the scene, and they all get to have fun. They've got some polymorph potions on them, so no one can tell it's them. And Crackers isn't a skeleton anymore; he's just a regular-looking dragonborn guy. And I had it where we had the pompous Duke, and then he had a little Dotapon halfling girl who was very meek and very much she was continuously nervous and like very was trying to organize everything. She had like a clipboard. She was like, oh my god, like hors d'oeuvres and just nervous mess.
Love it.
And of course, like if you were thinking I want to get to the Duke, then then also his right hand man, and of course this is all subtext. I'm just letting the players figure this out on their own.
Right.
Like they would think, of course, going to his secretary is also a great way to get some information. We're also here looking for some intel. We can go talk to her. So Crackers is going to go talk to the little halfling girl, and Bree is going to probably go flirt with the Duke, I think, if I recall correctly. Halfling girl, he meets her, he talks to her, he gives her champagne. I drop that the little halfling girl is blushing, hook, line, and sinker. Crackers is immediately like, absolutely, I'm going to swoon this girl. Like, this is the only time where I look like this is Cinderella's story. I am a prince who looks really nice. I'm not a skeleton. And this is like my one night to kind of like find my little fairy tale destiny thing.
I'm gonna do it.
And yeah, and she's legitimately adorable. Like she's so damn cute. She was half halfling, half cinderfolk, which is kind of like a fire elemental. So she would literally blush. She had like kind of like an iron colored skin, and when she blushed, her skin would actually like glow red,
wow.
like it was hot like a furnace.
Wow. That's
Um,
quite the
she
tell.
was very, yeah, she was very adorable. Oh, she was always kind of just like nervous and blushing anyway.
This is a super cute character.
But like he, like long story short, he only had a little bit of time on with the polymorph potion. He made a good impression on her. They shared, they definitely shared some interests. She likes the same books as he does. She even dropped that she likes the book that he likes, which is the in-universe version of Beauty and the Beast, called Beast and the Bard, I think was what it was called.
Oh, nice.
So very much like was going to be, sounded very good. And then like he was like, they had to leave the party, but he was going to come back later to see if he could meet up with her. But he was still a skeleton at that point. The potion was gone. So he meets her, and he introduces himself like actually as a skeleton, and it doesn't go well. She totally just like freaks out and passes out, and he's heartbroken. But this was the thing is like, as I'm telling this to you right now, of course it sounds like the girl was absolutely just like a blinking neon sign saying, this is your character. This is a plot point for your character. This is character development, right?
Right.
But Felix absolutely didn't call it that moment. And he told me so afterwards on that session that he did not know that was exactly what I anticipated he was going to do, was go right for her and be like, woo, I have, like, fairy tale dream. So that was sort of like a badge of honor on my chest, being like, oh, I'm so glad you didn't pick that out.
It's so good when you can catch them and they don't know they're caught.
Yes, it's such a victory.
It's
especially
so
when
good.
You know these people so well and they know you so well, and they're like, "Oh, I totally like." Sometimes they can call it from a mile away, and you're all civil, so you're like, "Yeah, we know where you're going with this, but we're gonna play along because it's fun anyway."
Oh yeah.
But like those moments where you actually catch them off guard, it's like, yes.
I know my warlock Sky. He plays Penn in the show, but anytime I put a bone anywhere, it's a trap for Sky. Like he's just if I put a bone in a room, he's gonna go into the room and he's gonna go to the bone. It's gonna be the first thing he does.
Yep.
It doesn't matter anywhere, anything, anytime. It does not matter. He's like a magnet.
Absolutely.
Never fails. Yep. And sometimes I don't even intend for it to be a trap, but just be a thing. And he's like, Dungeon Master, are you trying to get me? And I'm like, I'm really not. It's just aesthetics.
Yep. Oh, he's gotten suspicious. He's giving him PTSD.
Yeah, like he's got problems.
Pavlov's dog.
Like, I didn't make him love bones. He did that himself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome. That's such good stuff.
Felix, so like touching briefly, this is mostly just a running gag. So the Dragonborn character, we've also leaned in that he's like he's got like dragon instincts on him, which means he just likes shiny things.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's like a hoarder, which is always funny because it's like something will be shiny and he's not supposed to take it, but he has to because he's got that little dragon in his brain that's going, shiny thing though. Like, and he loves like piling everything up in like a little mound and then laying on it for no reason other than it's just dragon instinct.
Yeah, dragon sickness. He's got the
dragon instinct. Yeah. It's quite funny.
Oh, I love it.
It's a very cute little character quirk to have.
It's a beautiful character quirk to have. Mm-hmm. All right. So, I was thinking about the ruling council of Calagarn, the Golden Satchel.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't figured out who any of these people are, except for one. And his name is Felix Brinesale. That's the Triton who runs Promethean Point in the Treasured Expanse.
Okay.
Fun fact about him is I actually made him a former resident of the Saskatoon Empire, and his sister is actually the admiral of the Royal Saskatoon Navy.
Okay, so his sister, sorry, was it sister?
Sister, yeah.
Sister is on the enemy side?
Yeah, because he used to be part of the Saskatoon Empire, but he left to go kind of earn a fortune with the Calagarn Empire. He saw an opportunity, and he grasped it.
He's a businessman.
Yeah, and as a result, his sister isn't super fond of him, but also kind of reluctantly has to protect him and his ships as part of the peace treaty. So there's like conflict and stuff. But also, I haven't figured out the other members of the Golden Satchel.
Okay, so the Golden Satchel is they're members of the Caligan Empire, and they're like, they're the different business heads you were saying.
Yeah, they're the different business heads who kind of operate the empire.
Okay.
And I guess I would have one more, and that would be the leader of the standing military portion. Oh, I guess a little bit of backstory. So remember I said the Caligan Empire has like military contractors that operate their military?
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 of them. And they're three military contractors. Together, they're called the Chimera.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
There's the Ram's Charge, the Lion's Bite, and the Serpent's Sting. The Charging Ram is operated by a pompous, stubborn dwarf who operates the standing troops in the Navy. That's what his primary business is. I would put him on the council and say that he's had really good time over the last few years while the Empire's been at war, but now his position is in trouble because in times of peace, the other 2 branches of the Chimera, like the Lion's Bite, which operates with espionage and guerrilla tactics, and the Serpent's Sting, which does long-range combat, bombardment, artillery, and reconnaissance, are both still useful in times of peace. Like, they can be used for corporate warfare, they can be used for exploration, whereas the Charging Ram doesn't really have anything to do in peacetime, so he's not getting paid for as much work currently, and he might be in trouble. But I wanted to put him on the council as well, and maybe there's just another person gunning for his seat.
So he's like the standing forces, the troops in the Navy, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't they be some of the first people that this nation would actually send to explore the new world? Because you have people who are well equipped to live in the frontier and will live in wilderness in harsh times, and an entire battalion of ships to get them there.
Well, they have he's still kind of partly doing like guarding of ships, because I would say that like the guarding of transports back and forth is a military operation, but as far as like moving inland and the work that is done inland, they've kind of jointly decided to not send military forces deep inland on both sides. To avoid military conflict.
Right, because they're sort of supposed to be taking even slices of this pie.
Right, and
military very not even.
Yeah, if they're sending forces in, it might be considered, okay, this is hostile. You're hostilely taking this land, and it ignites tensions and that kind of thing. So it's a very delicate dance between the 2 sides. So I like the idea of he's just kind of like his place is in jeopardy. But he still has a seat on the council. But that's 2 council members, and I'd still need 8.
Okay. So question for you, why is there 10? Like, why are you picking such a large number?
I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. It's the first number I come up with.
I don't know. I would probably start by writing down basic trades. Like, you have food, you have textiles, and then you might have armaments or magic and stuff like that, and then see what kind of number I come closest to then.
Okay.
But that would just be me, because I know that if it was me and I wrote 10, I would never actually get to all 10. I would have to drop several of them because I would just never have the time to expand them all.
All right, let's say it's not 10. Let's just pick a couple industries, make up some characters, and maybe that's how many it is.
Sure.
Okay, so we got military.
Yeah.
We got shipping.
Okay. You would probably need somebody who's in control of, I would assume, water and food. So like whatever. You know, we have large monopolies like Nestle or something like that.
Yeah,
which really
like
control
grocery.
A lot of the water. Yeah, grocery.
Grocery guy.
Textiles, so clothing. Weaponry, I would assume.
Yeah, clothing.
Or forging.
Textiles. Invention.
Yes, and magic, I assume. If magic is a something that's pretty integrated into your culture.
Magic. I think textiles, armaments. Let's replace invention with technology. Because maybe this is the mad science branch.
It might go under magic and technology, but you could also have one for like pharmaceuticals, like who's in charge of healing, who's in charge of also like medical research and a bit more of that side of science.
Medical. Industrial. Those are going to be our builders and everything like that.
Right.
So medical, industrial, and commerce and banking. And I feel like the guy who does commerce and banking is like the head. Like, I feel like that is the main guy.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's making money off of everybody. Okay. I think this is a good baseline. Okay, what's our grocery dude like? Or a grocery lady?
Well, okay. Something else that has jumped into my brain right now is I'm now noticing the similarities between this and the districts from like Hunger Games too.
Oh shit.
Whether or not that's a good thing.
Yeah. We'll make them our own.
Yeah. Another thing that I could say is we could also like, and this is maybe something if you wanted to look at it again later, is instead of looking at these as separate little industries, you could see like what do these industries have in common with each other, and see if we can break it down into something like home harvest and another third one that sort of feels like they would like group them together into 3 larger bundles.
Right.
So then you would again only have 3 NPCs to manage, as opposed to how many do we have now? We still have a lot.
Domestic, industrial,
domestic, industrial, and I would say probably like something like
innovational,
magic. Yeah, innovation or magical. Something that feels like. So for domestic, you would have food, clothing.
Yeah, domestic, you'd have like your food, your clothing, your farming operations, your kind of day-to-day in-city trade markets, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And then for industrial, you'd have your shipping, probably your armaments. You'd have a lot of the bedrock stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the building, construction, fabricating, creating. So maybe let's go domestic, industrial, banking, and innovation.
Sure. And we can say banking is still your upper echelon because, yeah.
And we'll change shipping to trade.
Okay, so we're down to 5. We got 5 now.
Well, we got 6.
We have 6, I guess.
Yeah.
6. 6 is good. 6 is manageable.
Yeah, we can work with 6.
So we have Herbert, cranky dwarf. We have Felix, trade guy.
Yeah.
Domestic.
I picture him as a Triton that's like a California business bro.
Yeah, he's as much about the presentation as he is actually about putting his money where his mouth is.
Yeah, very much like kind of sleazed his way to the top. And it's all about, whatever, bud, I could buy and sell you.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Like, this is very much how I imagine this dude.
Depending on what your sense of humor is and how tongue-in-cheek you like being about your own world, I could see you totally doing domestic with Miss Debbie's cooking industry, or mom from Futurama, very sweet old lady who's actually just she will cut you.
I love
razor
it.
Blades in your muffin if you mess with her.
I love it. Let's make this character. What is she?
All right, so we wanted her to look like the cutest thing in the world. So, was there a bunny up there?
There is a bunny.
Haragon. Make her a bunny.
The Haragons.
Yeah.
Oh, let's make her a bunny.
She's a bunny. She's a cute little bunny.
Haragon female. Okay.
Her name is Granny Nibbles.
Granny Nibbles.
No, we can call her something else.
No, okay, but maybe everybody knows her as Granny Nibbles. Maybe her name is Gretchen Nibbles.
Yeah. I think that she got her start with the Granny Nibbles, like, a baking company, you know, like one of those where it's like, I'm Granny Nibbles from Granny Nibbles Cookies. And then she just, like, turned into an absolute titan of the industry.
Her company with the little Granny's Little Nibbles Baking Company.
We might be getting too close to dangerous territory there. Like, you're gonna slip up at some point, and you're gonna say something you didn't want to say.
I mean, it'll be funny. It'll be on stream, so I'd say it's worth it.
All right, fine. Let's just plant this banana on purpose then.
Yeah,
so
why not?
When you fall, at least it's on camera.
It's canonical on the show that I'm bad with names.
Okay, great.
And I've mispronounced the
Cool.
name of almost every one of our characters at some point.
Nice. God, I had two NPCs once named Gaiman and Sarfunkel, and Dingo hated them so much. He was like, "I'm not calling them that."
I love it. I had a Wayne and Garth duo of whites.
Nice.
It was, oh god, they hated those guys too. Also, a thing that I do in my campaigns is every single white that I've ever put into a game, I name him after a shade of white.
Oh my gosh.
So, I've had whites that are called like eggshell or like taupe or like just all different. I load up a color palette from like a paint studio and I pick a name and I name him after.
I have the entire continent that Brie is from. Every single person in that continent is named after a food. Every one of them. They just met a guy named Tofu the other session.
I love that. I think the best names I ever came up with on the show. Okay, so Penn, our warlock, right? His name is Penn. Yeah. His name is Penn Wright.
Oh gosh.
And we did an arc where he went back home to meet his family, and his family are all like paladins and clerics and stuff in this kind of devout, worshipping the sun god society. So I'm like, okay, I got to come up with his family because he didn't give me anything. He just kind of gave me the broad strokes. So I'm like, all right, his cousin is a paladin with a multicolored beard and short curly multicolored hair, wears bright golden armor. His name is Craylon Wright.
Oh god.
His uncle, very grim, kind of long bearded, sad faced man, is named Quill Wright. His mother is named Queen Stillis Wright. And his father's name is Lord Graffy Wright, or King Graffy Wright.
God.
And his sister's name is Pensilla Wright.
See, I can't join your campaign, Puck, because you'll be the death of me.
The best, look, you haven't got the cherry on the top yet. The best one I made is that, so we did an arc. Turns out the uncle was evil and being corrupted by a storm god. He had an apprentice that then came after Penn for revenge, and the apprentice's name was Erasure Script. And to this day, I say that's the best name I ever came up with for the show.
See, I'm just as bad as you, because when you were setting up, when you were setting this up, I was like, oh, I know, I think I know where he's going to go with this. His character's name is Penn. I bet he's going to meet his brother, and his brother's name is Gladius, and his mom's name is Saber, and his dad is named Claymore, because Penn is mightier than the sword. He's the best of his whole family.
Oh, that's so good, too!
He's the odd one out, and he's better than all of them.
Oh, that's so good! Bees.
Oh.
Now I feel better than mine.
No, yours is great.
No, I'm just kidding. But
I like yours.
That's awesome. I love that. All right, I'm all in on Granny Nibbles. I think that's
Granny
great.
Nibbles.
Harsh interior hiding underneath.
She has and will kill again.
Under the sweet persona. Oh, I love Granny Nibbles already. This is probably my favorite character so far. All right, who's our industrial person? What do we want to make them?
So industrial, we're thinking like building things, or we're thinking like houses and homes and streets and cities.
We're thinking building and fabrication. So I think this person like operates a lot of forges. I'm thinking they operate like a lot of construction. So they're building homes. They're taking care of large-scale construction, but they're also like fabricating tools and items and kind of creating things.
Well, like first things off the bat, you'd probably think dwarf because I think a lot of people associate their culture with that. I could also see a fire genasi and the idea that they heat the metal themselves or they forge things themselves, and maybe they like they kind of live in a giant smelting sort of place, or they.
I like the idea of the fire genasi. I do.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of the fire genasi.
You could also have it be a construct itself, like the entire...
Oh, maybe he's a warforged.
Yeah. He's a warforged and he can forge things.
That's crazy!
Maybe he's like a warforged the size of an entire building, so when you get things from him, he actually just like you're like, hey, can I get like, I don't know, a wheelbarrow? And he's like, all right, and he'll make you a wheelbarrow, and then his front chassis will pop open, and he can reach inside his own body and pull out the thing that you ordered from him.
Okay, I like that, but I would do like, okay, so he's a warforged, right? But he like builds copies of himself, and one of the copies is just really huge, and also operates as a factory. Like Mega Mold from like old X-Men like versus Sentinel stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool, because if you ever came into a confrontation with the guy, or if you ever if you ever needed to know more about the guy, you would have a hard time because you'd realize he could be in any one of these bodies and you don't know which it is.
Yeah, and maybe he's been assassinated like a bunch of times and they just didn't get the right one.
Yeah, is this guy, is he ever the person you think he is, or is he someone else entirely who's just like how do you know? He just can like pull out his metal core maybe and shuffle it in between bodies, and suddenly that's his
just kind of moves it around Ultron style. I love it. Many bodies of different shapes, sizes, and uses.
I did have an NPC like that, but he was a mad scientist who kept putting his own brain into other bodies just because he could.
That's nice. That's such a mad scientist thing to do.
Oh yeah, he was all intelligence, no wisdom. I think I did a doodle of him because he put himself inside of a crocodile body, and then he couldn't combine. He was trying to combine chemicals, and then he couldn't do it with his stumpy crocodile arms, and he was like, why did I put my brain in this body? It didn't work at all.
This is the worst. All right, what do we call this guy?
You call him... I almost always name them after something.
Well, let's name him after something. Let's name him...
Name him Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
Degris Fahrenheit. Degris Fahrenheit. Let's go with it.
There we go.
I like it. Alright, Degris Fahrenheit. Maybe Degris is very quiet. Like, maybe he doesn't say anything that adds to his allure.
Oh. Yeah.
Has a very secure position. Because, I mean, manufacturing is something that's always used. So he's always probably has a lot of things going on. And people have tried to take him out, and it's just not working out.
No, he just keeps coming back. He's like a roadrunner.
He just keeps coming back for more. All right, who's our banking guy? Who's our slimy banker?
I think you should have a legit dragon.
A legit dragon?
An actual like, because I actually had in my very first campaign I ran, I had like the black market, which was like a physical place you could go to. and that place was run by a red dragon. Like, that was just, she just ran the place, and then she took a cut of whatever profits people made there.
I like it. I like it. But I need to tell you something. And
What?
I probably should have told you about it earlier. So I think if we're going to make him a dragon, I think we need to make him a secret dragon. And part of
Secret
that,
dragon?
yes. Part of that is because, so in this world, dragons are heavily feared. So the Scale Lands is dragon territory.
Mm-hmm.
Lore has it that any lands the empires have, they had to fight to get it from the dragons of the Scale Lands. So the Scale Lands is ruled by dragons. This is Monster Town. You just don't go to the Scale Lands. Bad things are going to happen. So people are terrified of dragons very much. I'd love it if the banker guy was a dragon that knows like the secrets of the Scale Lands, because of course it's become this mysterious place. People don't go there, right? Don't go there, you're gonna die. And maybe he was exiled, or he ran away from that society and became like the head guy in Calagarn because he loves money, and that's kind of like low-key why that society is the way it is.
Yeah, because it's just like, it's dragon influenced.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think that works.
All right. What's his disguise? Because you can't have him just running around straight dragon style.
Nah, even in my campaign, like, she was disguised as like an elven lady.
Okay.
It wasn't until the players squared up and decided they want to kill her that I was like, hey, guess what?
Surprise!
He's a dragon. Gotcha. I mean, if he really wants to, I guess it depends on, like, okay, it'd be funny if he was a Kenku, because people would assume, like, oh, he's the banker, he's a Kenku, that's the joke, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And they would think that's the joke. It's like we're fooling them with a very obvious joke to hide the second obvious joke in the background.
I love it. I love it. He's a Kenku. Secret dragon. And what do we say about this? Looks like a raven. Raven loves shinies. I just want to envision this business Kenku now. That's just
you could give him a little bit of a hint, like maybe he has slit eyes, like slit pupils, and that would only be something a player would notice if they met him in person and maybe like rolled a good perception check. So he has slit eyes. He maybe keeps them hidden behind some glasses.
Slit eyes, round
pupils.
glasses. Right, slit pupils.
Yeah.
Round glasses. What's his personality like? Is he very business-like? Is he very much, or is he like light to kind of be like, oh, whatever, it's cool, just pay the money, it's fine, and then like when you make him angry, it gets weird and scary.
I guess that depends on what he thinks benefits him best. Because if he thinks that being personable and kind gets him the furthest, then that's what he'll do. But if he thinks that, well, okay, he probably can't act like a big tough muscle guy when he's a Kenku. Probably can't act like, especially if like he considers keeping his true identity secret extremely important, then he'd probably want to act as least like a dragon as he could,
Tains,
You could say like he's like a jovial temperament. He seems
temperament and nervous account like mannerisms. Like he's always calculating and stuff.
He's got like an abacus on him at all times.
Yeah, he's just like adding things up and putting up costs and everything. And occasionally there's a flash of seriousness when something costs a lot of money, and then he's kind of got to bring it back sometimes. Oh well, I like it. I like it. It's awesome. We're doing great, bees. I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
All right, who's our innovation guy? This dude's a mad scientist. I think we can both agree.
I want a character who is, has, I like when you have a council, you have you have a kid in there, like one person who seems like you are like 12. Why are you here?
Oh,
but they
super
are
young, oh yes.
Yeah, like Atlantis, and you have Audrey, I think her name was, and they say like she's only 18 years old, but she's forgotten more about engines than you and I will ever know. You know?
Right. So this is a young guy that's just like, this dude's an incredible scientist. He's like, oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who I'm thinking about?
What?
I'm thinking about Fred Beaks from DuckTales, the new one.
I haven't seen it,
oh, okay.
But I mean, I can kind of get what you're at.
Yeah, he's kind of like a Steve Jobs, kind of like young tech bro kind of guy. That's just like super young and way too rich.
This is one of those things where I think actually gender plays a bit of a role in this, because like if I think like 10-year-old like this is just like the bias of like what media has kind of used these tropes for.
Right.
When I think of like a young boy or like a young scientist guy who is like top of his field, I would think like boy genius, kind of like Dexter, I guess, a little bit. Like that's kind of where my brain goes. Mm-hmm. But when I think of like a girl in that field, it kind of like I kind of get a little bit more like a Toph sort of impression, like somebody who maybe has a little bit more of a scrappy personality to get them there to that kind of place, you know?
Right. Scrappy, kind of like this. I do things my way, and you can deal with it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they've risen up, is because anytime they've had to face any adversity, they just figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very much like Toph's whole deal. Like whenever you're trapped in a metal box, I'm gonna figure out how to bend metal. Like, I'm just gonna find solutions to the problems that I have in my life, no matter what.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Let's make a young, scrappy female inventor.
Innovator. So like what are you thinking scientists? Like this is also magic, right? Like this is somebody who
like they're working magic and technology. I imagine probably together. I mean, even if it doesn't fit, I'm cool if it like subverts expectations too. Like if it's something weird, I'm into that.
Let me think. It would be a cool race. So maybe something that we don't even have on our list here.
Maybe it's a maybe something off the wall. What are your thoughts? I was thinking maybe a GIF, but we could come up with something too.
Yeah, this one's kind of...
It's tough.
Tricky.
Yeah. I like the idea of a GIF because GIF are always like very alien.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he's like a little alien boy. I don't know.
We could go like
or a little alien girl.
We could go completely in the opposite direction and throw away the age thing and actually make them like a mind flare or something, where it's like, why, like if any other nation wouldn't trust this thing, but because this nation is all about money and all about business, it's like they're willing to look past that sort of thing because you do good business.
That is good. Maybe it is a mind flare. That'd be awesome. Hang on. Okay, let's go into monsters. No, there's nothing specifically. Oh, hey, let's see advanced filters. The vulnerability, save, proficiency, monster. None of this is anything I can use. All right, never mind. Okay, Mind Flayer. I like that. I like that. Just very much like, but you got all the good ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
A Wolfman Slayer says Knoll.
Knoll is good. I've never actually used a Knoll in my sessions. I kind of like, I forget about them, but they're
Knoll
cool.
Man, I kind of love the idea of a female Knoll that is like a scientist.
A Knoll scientist?
When I picture a female Knoll scientist, I don't know. I think that's really cool looking in my mind.
I definitely know this person like will not take any flack.
Oh yeah.
Just by the look of them.
Oh, 100%. All about the science. She bite back. I kind of love that too. Mind Flayer, Knoll. These are good options. Okay.
You could also have something we also haven't used here is you could have two people as working together, like a set of twins or a married couple.
The twins. I love twins. Oh my god. Okay. Can I tell you a super dumb nerd thing I've always wanted to do in D&D?
I mean, that's been our entire conversation, Puck.
Yeah.
Talk to me when you don't want to talk about nerd things.
So I've always wanted to do with somebody in a D&D game a brother-sister team that is basically Android 17 and 18 from Dragon Ball Z.
Ooh.
Right?
That sounds pretty good.
Wouldn't that all of their stuff is built around like working together, but they have like this weird angsty teenager rivalry thing going on sometimes too.
That'd be really cool.
It's so it's so fun.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Okay, well, I think we got too many ideas for this one. This one might have to stay up in the air. Also, do you know about shard mines?
About what?
Okay, so they only had them as playable characters in 4th edition.
Shard mines. That sounds dangerous.
Okay, so a shard mine is basically like a collection of geometric crystals in a humanoid form.
Ooh.
That psychically holds itself together, and they can like separate themselves and like move as a cloud of crystals. They're incredible. They were only ever used in 4th edition, and now nobody talks about them again, but I think they're the coolest thing in the world.
That's so cool. That is so cool. Damn.
And maybe we bring back shard mines for this.
That sounds really, really rad.
Yeah, they're just a collection of psychic crystals that form a body. So I'm gonna put shard mines in there too.
Speaking of like using odd races in places you weren't expecting to find them, I had in the current campaign there was a mechanic where they found out that basically the person running the crossword in the newspaper that goes throughout the entire nation was sending out secret messages through the crossword puzzle.
That's such a good hook. That's such... Game recognized game. That's such a good hook. Go on.
Thank you. So, they figured this out because they were trying to track down this other secret group that was kind of operating in the shadows, and they figured out that that's how they could find them, was they were using the crossword puzzle to communicate with other members of the same troop.
Awesome.
So they wanted to get in contact with the person who was running the crossword puzzle because, she knows all the contacts, and she knows her name was like Miss Honeybear. Like, it was very much like Miss Honeybear's crossword puzzle time. So then they go meet this lady, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm Miss Honeybear," and then she kind of like, she very much has a vibe about her where she obviously knows a lot about these players upon them like showing up. She's got a very kind of odd vibe to her. She doesn't seem like a normal average person. And then eventually when they eventually like, she invites them into her house or like to come meet up with her, and then when they go meet up with her and they go into like her domain, they figure out she's a sphinx.
Oh, damn.
Because, I mean, what is a crossword other than just a giant collection of riddles?
It's a riddle. That's pretty great. I love it.
And she was just like, I mean, she was kind of a sphinx, so she would just kind of screw with you for the fun of it, and she was kind of just like a little bit chaotic, here for her own fun time, but generally was like a really cool exposition dump and a great way of like it was just fun. It's like, yeah, she's this ancient, witty creature, but she's just does crosswords for fun. So that I was pretty happy with that one.
That's beautiful. I love that. That's an awesome setup. That's so cool.
That was a fun one.
All right. Well, I think we're going to have to leave our innovator in a bit more thought, because these are all good options, but we can't use all of them.
Right, we need to figure one out.
We need to figure one out. So maybe it's just going to be a bit more thought. I'm about out of time for today, so we're going to wrap up. Damn,
that flew by.
Right? We're just talking about, it's a lot of fun. I love doing this, and I just love inviting people in and just talk about this stuff, because everybody has such great ideas, and there are so many, there's so many creators now that I'm able to talk to that are just, I deeply respect, and they're so capable and have so many great ideas, and I'm always so thankful to bring them on. And I had no idea that you were DMing games currently, so I'm so glad that this worked out and you were able to come on, because this was awesome. And I love the Golden Satchel members now.
Yes, they're gonna be a lot of fun. God, when you just show up with Granny Nibbles,
and they might they may never encounter Granny Nibbles in the campaign I'm gonna run. We're gonna do this for 10 episodes in the fall, and then if people really like it, we'll probably do some more stuff with it. But I wanted to have everything fleshed out, because this is a world that I'd love to have other people run stuff in and all that kind of thing. And that was kind of the problem with my previous campaign. It was still very much just the Forgotten Realms, but with some of my junk thrown into it. But this is all, me and the people that I know and respect working together with me to help create it. So it can be a thing where other people can do stuff with it.
Yeah. And here's the thing: is even if they never meet Granny Nibbles the person, you now have a great bit of environmental storytelling with Granny Nibbles cutie rations or Granny Nibbles cookie recipes that you can just throw in there for random jokes. And then if they do ever meet her, that's gonna be excuse me?
Or go to the Mom Corp thing, and Granny Nibbles has a bunch of sons because she's a rabbit.
Oh my god, yeah, she just has an entire. Everybody who works in the factories is her kid / grandkids.
And they're called the Niblets.
Damn you, Puck.
It's so good. Bees, we're on the same wavelength. I had a great time with you. This has been delightful.
Oh, it's been great. And I mean, thank you for inviting me. And of course, anytime you give another DM or another player an opportunity to be hey, can you tell me about your thing? We're always just going to be give me that microphone.
Come on, it's time for me to talk for 2 hours. Yeah. Let me go.
Yeah. Which is, thanks for that, because that's fun.
Hey, I was excited to hear about it. I've been watching it from the window through pictures and being this looks really cool. I had no idea it was you.
Yeah, it's me.
But I'm so glad to hear that, and I'm glad I've been enriched by this knowledge, and I got to hear about your incredible world and your cool turns.
Oh, well, thank you, and I hope to hear more about this whole. Whatever, you can't see me gesturing to your map.
This whole thing.
I'm waving my hands at it.
You're gonna hear some more about it, and when fall comes, I'm gonna see if you can come on one day for an episode of it.
Well, we shall see.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'd love to have you on for at least one of the 10 episodes. There's a couple people I'd like to bring on for it, but that's why I've kept some of my secrets. And thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, those of you who are watching on the replay. I'm going to keep making these until summer, so we might get into deep detail. I'm going to bring my players on. We're going to make characters. I'm going to invite more dungeon masters that I know to come and join me, and I'm gonna start asking more people that I know if they are dungeon masters, because this was an enlightening experience. And we'll pick up from there. But Bees, thank you again so much for joining me. This has been an absolute pleasure, and good night, everyone.
Riot. Thank you, Puck.
And we will see you all next time. Puck out.
Bye.